After a slow start in the first half against Milwaukee, the dominating Indiana offense does it again and gives the Hoosiers their third win in a row.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you listening, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcasting network. He is Brian Smith, host of the Portal Podcast here on Locked On. Also an IU grad, joins me live on post-game shows for basketball, most football shows as well. And thank you all so much for tuning in to yet another edition of a live Locked On Hoosiers. Indiana basketball has a dominant offense. Defense, I don't know. We'll talk a little bit about that on tonight's show. But 101-70, Brian, Indiana takes down Milwaukee. First half was not impressive. Second half, much better. And that's what stood out to you the most, I think.
Yeah, the first 3 to 5 minutes, probably not the intensity that I would want, because if you play like that in a Big Ten game, you're in deep trouble. But I think they looked at the opponent. This is, if it was in football, I would call it a helmet game. We'll just call it a jersey game. They didn't respect the jersey they were playing. I have a feeling that DeVries had a few kind words about that at the first time out. I can only imagine what Bobby Knight would have said if it was a first time out for him in that circumstance.
Yeah.
But they did turn it on after that. And the one thing that is very consistent, this team does not fear the opportunity to put the ball in the bucket no matter who. And like looking at the stat line, like who do you want to pick?
Yeah.
Who do you
Close your eyes. Close your eyes and pick. On a night where Tucker DeVries, had 2 points in the first half. Yeah, he ended up with double digits, one of 4 Hoosiers that had double digits, but he was a non-factor, I would say, in this game because you didn't use him to get your lead, and he scored most of his points when you were up by 15 or 20 anyway. So what a great performance. Best one so far this season by Tayton Conerway. I think that's somebody who we need to have our eyes on moving forward. And we'll talk likes and dislikes at the end like we always do. We say it's not pretty, but a win is a win. We'll get to all of that. But you say, who do you pick? I picked Tayton Conerway. I think he had a fantastic game tonight.
There's something to be said for the ability to score the ball in crunch time just because I can get around you. Mm-hmm. I am better. I know it was towards the end of the game, but that spin move at the end in the lane, like 3 minutes to get, he has a different gear.
One way.
He's just an effort guy that not everybody is going to respect. And I think that against Illinois, against Michigan, against other teams that have as much, if not more talent than you at every spot, Purdue, etc., you need guys that can score, have zero to do with coaching, zero to do with plays. When plays break down, you got to be able to get in the lane and create.
Yeah.
He's as good as they have. And I know they have some other guys that are pretty good at it too, DeVries included, but I would give him the ball just as much as anybody top of the key because he's a natural dribbler and it wouldn't be much fun guarding. He could shoot too, but Conerway, he's way better than I thought he was.
Well, I think he proved tonight that he may, outside of Lamar Wilkerson, he may be your best ball handler. He may be the guy you're most confident in not turning the ball over. Indiana as a team tonight in terms of turnovers only had 7. That's really, really good. I don't care who you're playing. When you're playing D1 college basketball, 7 turnovers and only 7 turnovers and 40 minutes of play. That's phenomenal. And so Indiana not only did not turn the ball over, they forced turnovers and they scored off of those, had 24 points off of turnovers for Milwaukee, only 7 points for the Panthers off of those Indiana turnovers. And so I think Tayton Conerway proved to me that, yes, he's got the offensive skill set, but he's got the ball handling, and you could see that come crunch time in some bigger games, right? The Louisville game, Kentucky game, Big Ten games, etc. But Brian, this offense continues to just dominate. 24 from Wilkerson, 21 from Conerway, 14 from Reed Bailey, 12 from Tucker DeVries. They continue to pour it into the bucket. 51 in the first half, 50 in the second half, shoot 50% from behind the arc, and the broadcast dropped a nugget on the way out. First time the Hoosiers have had back-to-back 100-point games since 2016. We haven't seen this in nearly a decade.
This is not the Indiana basketball that I've ever seen. Literally, Indiana's never had a team that consistently wanted to push the pace and play like this.
Yeah.
In my lifetime, I followed Indiana since the early 80s. It's like the first team of any kind I followed right after Isaiah Thomas. Like I've seen about everything. And they've never had this kind of pace consistently. And they thrive at it. And they don't, I mean, like DeVries is a great shooter, passer, thinker. He's not a great athlete, but he has a natural knack to get open. And if he's not open like tonight, they keyed on him, bother him. And that's why Conerway and everybody else, I mean, it was just everybody killed him like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know they're never going to be a great defensive or / rebounding team, but if you can play offense like this, you're in every game.
Which is the difference from when we saw Mike Woodson coaching this basketball team. That's the difference. Yeah, they would have usually pretty decent offensive games for the skill they had, et cetera, but they didn't have enough possessions, and it was so boring to watch. Yep.
It was 1985 NBA basketball style, and it's just not much fun.
Yeah.
We don't have Ewing, by the way. So it's kind of interesting that you play this style now, and everybody, like, I was watching the crowd at the end, like 2 minutes ago, people were there.
Yeah.
Indiana folks have waited a long time. I know this year's not going to end up with a natty or anything, but they're going to make the tournament. I think, what were they? Like preseason number 10 or something like that is kind of
10 in the Big Ten and pretty much a bubble team anywhere you looked. Yeah.
They're going to be better than 10. I'll be quite surprised because they shoot the ball too well.
Yeah.
They'll win a few more games than they should. They're like, if they play in Ann Arbor, I may not watch that game. You don't want me on the post-game show because the rebounding margin might be -25.
Yeah.
But they, there's certain things they can't do anything about. But for the skill they have, how well they play, how well they share the ball, and except for, again, like the first 3 minutes, a lot of effort, they'll be a lot of fun for Hoosiers fans to watch.
Yeah, some other stats that stand out to me. Again, we appreciate you being with us on this live edition of Locked On Hoosiers on the YouTube channel. Make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll get to some of those. We'll talk about how this wasn't the prettiest of wins, and yet you still get it by 31 points. We'll also do likes and dislikes coming up in our second segment. But some of those stats, you do win the rebounding battle for whatever that's worth, 35-31. The number that stands out to me, and I'm going to talk about this in likes and dislikes coming up in a moment, You had 34 made baskets tonight for the Indiana Hoosiers. 34 of 60 from the floor, good for 57%. On those 34 made baskets, 23 of them came off an assist. Brian, that's unbelievable. That is incredible ball movement. That's unselfishness. That is looking for the better shot, passing up something you have to get it to somebody else, getting it to a playmaker, getting it to an open shooter. That's what's going to make this team go far, because DeVries can do it on his own. Wilkerson could do it on his own. Conerway showed us tonight that he can do it on his own. And I think at times, Reed Bailey, Sam Alexis can do it on their own. But they decided not to. They used their teammates around them. Trent Sisley can do it on his own. Those guys have the ability to score without anybody else. That's what they all did at their previous stops. They're coming together early in the season, Brian, and sharing the rock, and it's paying off early, and I love that.
Josiah Miles is the guy I'm kind of curious about how much playing time he gets, how they use him, because that's a really freaky athlete.
Yeah.
I don't know how well he's a dribbler, but inside of 15 feet, he's a guy that can end up on SportsCenter. So that's another guy. If the other guys get to the rim, I mean, he can finish. And he's a decent shooter. He's not great. But again, like Dorn, we need to see him be completely healthy and completely comfortable. You could tell he's not quite.
Oh, he was rusty for sure. But first game back and hit a three, had a couple nice plays, couple boards. I liked seeing Nick Dorn back tonight for sure.
I'm curious to see him in about game 6 or 7, because your sea legs are not the same playing basketball. But they're more athletic than I thought they were off the bench.
Yes.
And they're still getting some guys back. This is not a full roster by any means. They've been pretty banged up. To have a banged up roster and dropping 100 plus in 2 consecutive games.
Yep.
Hasn't happened since 2016, Jacob. I still didn't have hair then, but it's been a long time. It's been a long time.
This team is fun, man. It's just different. That's the word that everybody comes back to. It's different. It's refreshing. It's new. It's exciting. You can hear it. You can feel it. This team and program is fun to watch, right? It's just fun. Again, how much will it carry over in Big Ten play? We don't know. But you just did the same thing against Milwaukee on Sunday, or against Marquette on Sunday. Like, I know that's not the Marquette we've known and grown up watching all these years. They're still good. Okay, that Milwaukee team is also good. I was impressed with them. The first half, they were going punch for punch with Indiana. Hit some of the toughest shots I've seen, and give them credit, because I just continued to say at the TV, man, that's a tough shot. Man, that's a tough shot. Man, that's a tough shot. Eventually, Brian, if you're hitting tough shot after tough shot, you're just a good shooting team, and you're a good playmaking team. And that Milwaukee squad's going to give people some run this year. And don't be surprised if you see them dancing come mid-March. I'm telling you, that's a solid Milwaukee squad.
Just like most mid-major teams, the difference with them, they'll have guards and guys that can drive.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a big man in the paint that's a dominant player.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of inside game. They struggle there, because that's where you can beat Indiana. That one guy, I forget the guy's name, though. Holy cow, can he shoot? I mean, those are NBA step back, run into the corner. Like, everything he did was wrong, and they were bottoms. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. He scored 3 3-pointers there in about a 5-minute stretch, and it's just like, come on, man. But outside of that, I mean, if teams are going to hit those, you just tip your cap. That's part of basketball. It's kind of like a pitcher just throwing it on the black on 3-2 with a curveball. It is what it is. But Indiana did a pretty good job of making them move the ball, making them take tough shots, and at least contesting it. I'll get into the dislikes here in a minute. They got some things to still work on the perimeter, and I think they can get better, but that's reps. So if you get a hand up and guys are hitting shots from beyond 21 feet, I'm not be it. Yeah, these are college players too. They give out scholarships at the other institutions as well. So I'm okay.
Well, we'll talk about likes and dislikes as Indiana beats Milwaukee 101-70, 101-70. Hoosiers take down the Panthers. This is a live edition of Locked On Hoosiers. We do likes and dislikes right after this. This live edition of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, had plenty of hot hands tonight, Brian. FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And I have a feeling live betting this Indiana team, if they ever get behind this year in a Big Ten game, may not be a terrible idea the way that they could shoot the basketball. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This live show of Locked On Hoosiers also brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Join the free TradeMaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, welcome back into this live edition of Locked On Hoosiers. He is Brian Smith, host of the Portal Podcast, IU grad. I'm Jacob Goins, host of Locked On Hoosiers. We appreciate you being with us, and make sure to keep dropping your thoughts in the YouTube comments. We're going to get to those as we roll along, but it is the second and final segment of tonight's show, and how we do every single time, it's likes and dislikes time. We talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. It's more of a rapid fire type of segment. Brian, I'm going to let you start, and sounds like you're gonna kind of take it a negative route here. You're going to start with a dislike tonight, even though the Hoosiers win by 31.
If you want to move up, if you will, in the Big Ten, eventually it is about grit. It is about toughness. It's about will and want to.
Yeah.
And their outside perimeter defense finding its way through screens, finding their way, whether it's over the screen or just being more physical with the guy before he gets the ball, it's nowhere near where it needs to be a top 5 team in the Big Ten. And I know they don't have a top 5 roster. I'm not saying they do, but you have to play physically like that. That's an effort thing, has nothing to do with raw given skill or your vertical jump. Need to see more of it. And I get it that they hit some shots that were still ridiculous regardless.
Yeah.
But you're going to face some teams that also have 6'9" guys that weigh 235 and are athletic underneath. They're going to kill you because you don't have the bigs. So if you're not making plays on the perimeter defensively to run guys off the 3-point line, some of those games are going to be pretty ugly. And these post-game shows for us will not be very friendly, at least not from my end.
Yeah, well, I agree with that, especially the size-wise for Indiana, but I'll go the other way with a like, and LaFonso Ellis actually highlighted this several times on the TV broadcast about the amount of screens that Indiana sets and how many off-ball screens they set, and just the back cuts we've seen through the first 3 games, and such good passing again, so many assists tonight. Get that final number again for you, as Indiana made 34 baskets as a team, 23 of those came off assists. That's a huge like for me, and a lot of those come off those back screens, off ball screens, pick and rolls, and just get to the basket and finding the open space in the defense. Like, that's something that teams seem to overthink and not really put at the forefront sometimes, but all you got to do is find the open lanes and create a way for your guy to get there. And that's what Indiana did in this game in particular. Milwaukee said, DeVries is not going to beat us. We'll make somebody else do it. And, well, Wilkerson and Conerway did. And so that's a like for me, is the off-ball screens and the ability to get open and move without the basketball. I've probably said that all 3 games so far, but it's just so much fun to watch for this Indiana squad.
When you back cut like that, it's amazing how you get more open looks as the game moves forward.
Yeah.
Beyond the arc. And everybody knows Indiana wants to shoot threes. They were still 14 for 28. I don't care if you're playing the Sisters of the Poor. If you're getting backdoor cuts for layups, teams are going to sag and you're going to have more kickouts. And when you go to the hoop, guys, even if they had a wide open layup, at first somebody came over, they wouldn't just automatically throw up a wild shot. They would pass it out. This team's unselfish, and just about everybody can shoot from at least 17, 18 feet consistently.
Yeah.
And they don't take dumb shots like that. It's either in the paint or it's behind the arc. You know the deal now. Nobody really shoots mid-range anymore. Indiana's got guys that are pumping it from deep across the board. So it's really hard to guard Indiana, and they're not changing it. You said the screens, they make the shots, they occasionally back cut or dribble. It's just they rotate those 2-3 things, and until somebody stops them, outside of somebody like Duke or something that's just super long, there's nobody else that's really going to guard this offense consistently. DeVries and his staff have done a tremendous job.
Yeah, and I'll keep saying this too until it happens, right? I'm waiting on Indiana, that first game where the shooting is just ice cold across the board, right? Because it's going to happen. You're going to have a game where you don't shoot nearly 60% from the floor, 50% from 3, and drop 101 points, okay? It's going to happen, and most likely it'll happen against a big-name team. It could be Louisville when you play them in Indianapolis. It could be Kentucky when you go to Rupp Arena. It could be one of your Big Ten opening games. I mean, it's going to happen. I just want fans to be ready for it. But how do you respond and overcome that? But what I do like, though, as we continue likes and dislikes here, is the idea that it's not just one guy. And that was proven again tonight with the emergence of Tayton Conerway. We're only 3 games in, but this was his best game by far. He had double-digit points, 21 to be exact, and looked extremely good doing it. 21 points. 8 of 11 from the floor, hit the 1-3, also 4 of 4 from the line, had 6 assists along the way too, Brian. Like, you can get it from just about anybody on this team. I liked Conerway. I liked Dorn. I liked to see Josiah Miles be aggressive. Trent Sisley, confident shooter early in this game. It kind of slowed down at the end, but a confident Trent Sisley is something I love to see because I still believe he's going to be a major impact on this squad.
They got some young players, and Sisley obviously is the one everybody's curious about because he's got size. Some are out, some are just learning, and some guys, you know, they've transitioned in because 10 guys transferred in? It's crazy. But Sisley showed me a little more confidence tonight. Those back-to-back jumpers from the right wing, no hesitation. We know he can drive and he can dunk and all that. And once he adds a year in the weight room, he's going to be a little more physical too. That's a good specimen right there. But if he can consistently hit them from downtown like that, That can be an all Big Ten player before he leaves Bloomington.
Yeah.
Those guys are not easy to find. So I'm glad to see him take that step up. By the way, shout out to Enright. He didn't want to shoot first couple times. He didn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
They must have got to him because not only is he shooting, he's got a pretty nice stroke. I'm surprised he didn't want to shoot before. That's a good sign for the Hoosiers too.
Yeah, I think for Connor Enright, man, any offense you get from him is just bonus. You don't go into a game preparing for him to have 10, 15, 20 points. But if you get anything from him, like you did in 5 points tonight, sure, you'll take it. You trust the ball in his hands too. And I'm curious to see if he is a starter when you get into Big Ten play. Reading through some of the comments again, people talking about the heart, love watching this team play. Clint says the shooting, the back cuts, moving without the ball stuff we were just talking about a moment ago, finding the open man, very unselfish and very fun to watch. And I agree. I like this. Indiana up to 18 right now in the current KenPom rankings.
Oh, really?
And that is correct. That is updated as of right now. Indiana is 18th. That's ahead of teams like Alabama, Baylor, St. John's, Kansas, Arkansas, North Carolina. I'm just saying. It's early. I know it's early. But you are ranked 18th at the moment in KenPom behind BYU, Wisconsin, and Vanderbilt. So how long can you stay as a top 20 or 25 team in KenPom? I have no idea. But that's a pretty good sign. I couldn't tell you last time Indiana was 18th in KenPom.
Yeah, I couldn't either. My guess is trajectory for this team, they're like a 9 seed, 10 seed in the tournament, something like that. So that would just be outside the 25, just barely like the outer mentions, and they'll be just over 500 or at 500 in the Big Ten, but that's a really tough league. Let's be honest. When you and I first started talking about this roster, neither one of us projected that.
No.
We thought they'd be one of the last 4 in if they were lucky.
Yeah. Making the tournament was the goal this season, and obviously that still is, but the more you look like you did tonight, the more your projection goes up, the more seed lines you start to move up, and I think Indiana has every chance to do that, right? And as we look at what's coming up, again, we'll kind of get this wrapped up here on this live show of Locked On Hoosiers. Here's what's coming up for Indiana, all right? This continues several games at home in a row. You've got Incarnate Word, Lindenwood, Kansas State. That's your P4 game at home inside of Assembly Hall. Then you get Bethune-Cookman, sneaky good team. I think they're a tournament caliber team is Bethune-Cookman. And then on December 3rd, you go on the road to Minnesota for your Big Ten opener. Remember, they sprinkle a couple of Big Ten games in December now. You'll go on the road to Minnesota. Then you play Louisville and Indianapolis, home for Penn State, and at Kentucky. So that's what the next month basically looks like for you, Brian. And plenty of opportunities for you to have another game like this, but also be tested against Kansas State and Louisville and Kentucky along the way.
If you get challenged now, that gives them film to work on things, so I'm okay with it. I liked how they responded because Lord only knows when they go to Rupp or when Louisville takes a 8-0 run or something. Like the game at Rupp probably won't go the way I'd like. I'll just put it like that. That's probably a double-digit loss if I had to guess. But at the same time, if they're doing the little things, I'm okay with it. The effort and all that, I can't make a 6'10" wing forward pop out of thin air. So if I could, Indiana would be much better. Yeah. But at the same time, Indiana, for what they have, you really can't ask much more right now. Just like I said, I'm picky about like the outside defensive screens, but there probably aren't 5 teams in America that are very good at that at college. Duke and North Carolina, Kansas kind of teams included. So that's just something to work on.
Yeah, Indiana beats Milwaukee 101-73-0 in the Darren DeVries era. Next game is against Incarnate Word. That is on the 16th, which is Sunday. That is scheduled for a 5:30 tip on a Sunday afternoon, evening. So that's a weird time for Indiana to be starting a basketball game on a Sunday. That is on the Big Ten Network. So Brian will be able to watch it, which means he should be with us as far as I know, right? I mean, if he's able to watch it, that means he's normally able to join us. It's when it's on one of those other networks that most of America can't get right now. So
No comment on that.
I was just throwing it out there. See if you'd swing or not, and you did not. I appreciate and I respect your hesitancy there, sir. Brian Smith, host of the Portal Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Check him out. He's doing all sorts of content over there every single day, talking portal, NIL, recruiting, you name it. He's got it. He's also joining us talking football on tomorrow's show for Indiana football recruiting, where we're going to discuss a couple of big names that'll be in Bloomington this weekend for the final home game and probably the final home game in general of the regular season and the season as a whole for Curt Cignetti and Indiana football. So be sure to check that out. Subscribe to both of our channels if you haven't already. Thank you for making Locked On Hoosiers now a 7,000 subscriber channel. That's big time stuff, and we appreciate you making that. So, and also making Locked On the #1 sports podcasting network. For Brian Smith, I'm Jacob Goins. We're back tomorrow for a regular episode, Hoosier fans. So until then, stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.